Hey everyone, hope you're having a good weekend. This is Mr. Conley. I felt like we could use some supplemental work here on our unit conversions using dimensional analysis. So, we've talked about this a little bit in class, but I thought we would go in depth a little more. And hopefully, this helps you out with understanding the importance of unit conversions and also getting you ready for further tougher problems in this class as well as next year when you head to chemistry. So let's go ahead and get started. So unit conversions, there are several different, slightly different methods that people use, but what I like to use is called the bridge method for our conversions here. And really, units are incredibly important to us. We use them on a daily basis, and they really don't get as much a thought as we really should give them. So, why is it important to think about units and to convert them properly? Well, we'll use one of my favorite examples. Back in this is an LA Times um, snippet of an article from 1999 when the Mars Climate Orbiter crashed into Mars. So, um, give you a bit of background, the Mars Climate Orbiter was this huge project that NASA was putting together with several different private companies. And so uh, essentially, they put years and years of work and money into this project to get not a single shred of evidence or data to send back. And this is all because of a miscommunication of units. So one of the companies was using a English customary pounds and inches and feet like we know and use in America today, and the other company was using the scientific standard SI or metric units. So the as a result, JPL engineers, which was one of the companies, mistook the acceleration readings that the other company put in English units of pounds for a metric unit, which is called Newton seconds. So, in essence, because of the miscommunication of units, this incredibly ambitious project that took years and years of work and millions of dollars to put into action was wasted. So let's talk about this bridge method. Like I said, we'll be converting between different sorts of things like feet to inches, kilometers to meters, and so on and so forth. So, why is it that dimensional analysis is so important? I mentioned the Mars Climate Orbiter, but there are many other instances in which we need to know units and convert them back and forth. As we move forward in this technological world, computer software is going to become more and more inundated upon us, and many of you, I'm sure, will actually be using computer software in the future. Units are a big deal in computer software engineering as well as in marketing and stoichiometry. When you get into chemistry, there are so many different applications for conversions. And if you can master dimensional analysis, I promise that you will have a better grasp on not just unit conversions, but understanding nature in a more concrete fashion. So, the ultimate principle behind dimensional analysis is that you can multiply any value by one without changing its physical meaning. What does that mean, Mr. Conley? Well, let me show you, give you a visual here. If we have a fraction and we have a number in the numerator, and that number in the numerator is exactly the same number as the number in the denominator, well, we know that that cancels out or reduces to become 1. Okay. Well, so what if I give you this example here? It's 10 over 10. Well, that equals 1. Okay, we know that. Now, what if I was to switch the 10 in the numerator with the 10 in the denominator? Would that change its meaning? 10 over 10. Now I'm switching it around to 10 over 10. What would that be? Mr. Conley, we're not in kindergarten. I know. Okay, so you get 10 over 10 is 1. So let's move on to a different sort of scenario here. So we should know this simple conversion that 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. That prefix kilo in kilometers means 1,000. So 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. This is a metric equality, and we also will be calling these sorts of equalities conversion factors as we move forward. These are things that we use to convert back and forth from value to value. So 1,000 meters over 1 kilometer is another way that we can write this. So if I were to write this out like it's shown in blue before you, what would you say that this number reduces to? I would bet that many of you are thinking, oh, well, 1,000 over 1, that means that that would reduce to 1,000. Well, you're wrong. Okay, well, how about we write it like this? So we've got 1 kilometer over 1,000 meters. What does this reduce to? I bet you're thinking, well, whatever 1 over 1,000 is. 1 divided by 1,000, I guess that would be 0.0001, right? Well, you would be wrong again. Really, 1,000 meters over 1 kilometer will actually equal 1. Okay, now nudge your partner or the person or the cat sitting next to you, because Mr. Conley needs to be admitted, right? 1,000 over 1 does not equal 1. Well, we're not just dealing with numbers here. This is an important concept to understand. Okay, maybe the 10 over 10 was not as simple as we thought. 1,000 over 1 would reduce to 1,000. You're correct. But 1,000 meters over 1 kilometer, these are different things. This is not just a number. We're dealing with values here. Numbers don't actually represent any sort of thing in the real world. They are symbols for these metaphorical things that exist somewhere. But 1,000 meters is a real quantifiable distance. And it just so happens to be equivalent to 1 kilometer. So this is exactly the same as 10 over 10. Ah, okay, this is starting to make more sense. So 10 over 10 equals 1. This is easy because the numbers are exactly the same. But this is also the same. 1,000 meters and 1 kilometer are equivalent. So this is exactly the same as dividing by the exact same number. Similarly, 1 kilometer over 1,000 meters also reduces to 1. This is a very important concept that you need to understand because as we move ahead here in our strategy for dealing with unit conversions using dimensional analysis, we need to be able to flip conversion factors back and forth for our own purposes. Okay? So, a bit of humor at your expense. Just because one number is larger than the other, that certainly doesn't mean that that corresponds to a larger value. All right, so let's get back into it. So let's say that we were going to convert 25 kilometers into meters. So what we're going to do first here with this bridge method, I like to think of this like you were going to build a bridge. Okay, so if you're going to build a bridge, you need to start on one side. Let's say we're going to build this bridge across from a cliff to